I bought them groceries when I heard they were struggling. My daughter-in-law tossed them back in my car and said, "We're not your charity project. Don't come back here again." My son stood in the doorway, his head hung low, as I drove away with a full trunk and an empty heart. I raised my son by myself in Springfield, Missouri. His dad walked out when he was 10. No goodbye, no money, just a note on the kitchen table that said he wasn't cut out for family life. I didn't have time to grieve. I had a kid to raise. So I picked up extra shifts at the diner, cleaned houses on the weekends, and did everything I could to give my boy a decent life. Daniel was a quiet kid, smart but always nervous. He worried about me more than he should have. He'd hear me cry at night sometimes, even though I tried to hide it. I remember once, when he was 11, he slipped a $5 bill into my purse. It was from his birthday card. He left a little note with it that said, "So you don't have to skip lunch, Mom." I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes after I found it. He grew up, went to college, and got a job in insurance. I thought we'd made it. I was proud. I didn't care that he only called once every couple weeks. I figured he was busy, building his own life. That's what I wanted for him. Then he met Marcy. Marcy was the kind of girl who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. She came from money. Her parents owned property in St. Louis. Big backyard, matching SUVs, the whole thing. The first time I met her, she looked around my house like it smelled funny. She smiled, but her face was tight, like she didn't want to sit down or touch anything. After they got married, Daniel changed. He called less. He stopped asking how I was. Conversations became short, awkward. I was careful not to pry. I didn't want to be the overbearing mother-in-law. But it hurt. I still sent cards. Birthday gifts. Care packages. Most of the time I never even got a thank you. Then a few months ago, I heard from Alice, my friend who works at the clinic, that Daniel had lost his job. She didn't mean to gossip. She was just worried. Said Marcy looked stressed, said she saw her picking up donated formula from a local drive. That hit me like a punch in the gut. My grandbaby going without formula. My son unemployed. And nobody thought to call me. So I did what any mother would do. I went to Aldi and filled 2 whole carts. Diapers, formula, canned goods, cereal, baby wipes, frozen meat, laundry detergent, even some treats. It cost me $642. I put it all in neat bags, loaded up my old Buick, and drove to their house. Marcy opened the door. She didn't say hello. I smiled anyway. "Hi, sweetie. I heard things have been tough, so I picked up some groceries." Her face changed instantly. Eyes narrow. Lips tight. "Who told you that?" I hesitated. "A friend of mine works near your clinic." She just mentioned. Before I could finish, she stepped out onto the porch and slammed the door behind her. "We don't need handouts," she said, walking past me. I turned, confused, as she popped the trunk of my car and started yanking bags out. "Marcy, wait," she threw one of the bags into the back seat. "You think we're your little charity case? You think you can just drop off pity food and feel good about yourself?" I stood there, stunned. "I wasn't trying to make you feel that way. You don't know anything about us. We're doing fine. You just want to feel needed." Then I saw Daniel in the doorway, holding the baby. He didn't say a word. Just stood there, looking down at the ground like he couldn't even face me. "Daniel?" I called. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Not even a glance in my direction. Marcy crossed her arms. "We don't want your help. Don't come back here again." That was it. No thank you. No conversation. Just thrown out like trash. I drove home with my trunk full and my heart hollow. I didn't cry right away. It took a couple hours. I sat in my kitchen, staring at all the food. All the things I thought they needed. I kept thinking about the baby. My grandbaby. I'd only met her once. Then something snapped. They didn't just reject my groceries. They rejected me. My son. My own flesh and blood. He let her treat me like that, and he didn't even flinch. That night, I packed up all the baby stuff and groceries and drove it to the local women's shelter. I handed it over with tears in my eyes. At least someone would use it. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I went quiet for a few weeks. I needed time to think. Time to plan. I started small. I joined a local parenting group Marcy was part of, under a fake name, of course. Joan from Midtown. I watched her posts. She was active. Bragging about her handmade baby clothes. Sharing photos. Asking for tips. Occasionally complaining about money. I left helpful comments. Built trust. Then placed a few Etsy orders from different accounts. Left low ratings. Nothing dramatic, just low enough to make things difficult. Reported a few things for safety issues. Etsy suspended her shop twice. Then I moved on to Daniel. Through Facebook, I found out he'd started working for a tech company in Branson. I knew someone who worked there, Kevin. We went to high school together. He was now a project lead. I reached out. Said I was just checking in. Said I'd heard Daniel got a job there and that I hoped he was doing better. Then I casually mentioned how, years ago, he got caught plagiarizing papers. I even offered to send the emails from his high school principal. Kevin said he appreciated the heads up. 3 weeks later, Daniel was let go. The reason? Performance issues. I knew what that meant. They didn't want trouble. They just let him go quietly. 2 days after that, Marcy was back on Facebook begging for baby formula and job leads. Still, not a word from them to me. That's when I knew they needed to learn what real struggle felt like. Not the kind that comes with help at your doorstep, but the kind that shows you who you really are. And I wasn't done yet. 3 months passed. No calls. No texts. Not even a birthday card for me. I didn't expect flowers or anything, but silence from your only child stings in a way nothing else does. Then one morning, Alice came into the diner while I was setting up the counter. She looked around, leaned in close, and whispered, "You won't believe who applied for a job here." I raised an eyebrow. "Who?" She smiled, half shocked, half sorry. "Marcy. She filled out an application last night. Said she'd do anything, hostess, dishwasher, didn't care." I froze. Marcy? In my diner? The same woman who tossed my groceries like trash and told me never to come back. Now looking for a job here? She get it? I asked. She has an interview with Rick this afternoon. Rick's the owner. He's known me for 20 years. He doesn't hire without asking me first. So I waited. That afternoon, Rick came back into the kitchen with a file in his hand. "You know a Marcy Bauer?" I nodded. "She's my daughter-in-law." He looked at me. "She's got no real work history. Nothing recent. Says she's willing to start tomorrow." I wiped my hands on my apron and said, "Don't." He waited a second. "You sure?" "Yeah," I said. "If she wants to learn what hard work is, she can go somewhere else." He nodded and threw the file in the trash. That night, Marcy posted another rant on Facebook. Something about people judging moms for trying to make a living and women being pitted against each other. I didn't comment. I just watched the little cracks in her pride show. Daniel finally sent me a text 2 days later. "Daniel, did you tell your boss not to hire Marcy?" It was the first time he'd contacted me in over 6 months. "No, hi Mom. No asking how I was. I stared at the screen for a while. Then I wrote back, she told me not to come back. I listened. He didn't reply. A few weeks later, I got a knock at my door. It was Daniel. I hadn't seen him in nearly a year. He looked thin, tired, hair messier than I'd ever seen it. He held his phone in one hand and a plastic folder in the other. "I need to talk to you," he said. I stepped aside and let him in. He sat at the table and sighed. "Things are really bad. Marcy's mad at me all the time. We're months behind on the mortgage. Her shop's dead. I can't find steady work. We've applied for food stamps and WIC, but it's not enough." I didn't say anything. Just waited. He looked at me, almost begging. "I need your help. Just for a little while. Please." I should have felt good. I should have felt vindicated. But all I felt was tired. "What changed?" I asked. "You let her slam a door in my face. You stood there and didn't say a word while she humiliated me." He stared at the floor. I didn't know what to say. "No, you did," I said. "You just chose silence." Then he pulled out the folder and slid it across the table. Inside was a custody filing. He was trying to separate from Marcy. Wanted joint custody of the baby. Said she'd been unstable lately. Argumentative. Said she'd taken the car and left for 2 days the week before. No explanation. "She's losing it, Mom," he said. "And I don't blame her, but I can't protect the baby like this." He looked me in the eyes then. "I'm not asking for money. I just need help getting my life back." For a second, I didn't know what to say. I wanted to hug him. I wanted to scream at him. Instead, I stood up, walked to the closet, and came back with an old envelope. I slid it to him. Inside were the receipts from the groceries I'd bought. The diapers. The formula. A printout of that Facebook post Marcy made. And a photo of the bag she threw into the back seat. His eyes filled with tears as he looked through it. "You kept all this?" I wanted to remember what it felt like. "That you let her do that to me. That you didn't stop her." He covered his face with his hands. I was scared. "I know," I said. "But you weren't 10 anymore. You had a wife. A baby. You had a choice." Then I sighed and looked away. "I'll help you, Daniel. But not the way I used to. You're gonna earn it. You want my support? It comes with honesty. With boundaries. No more lies. No more standing back while she attacks me." He nodded, still crying. That was just the start. Because Marcy wasn't going to let go of him, or the baby, without a fight. And I had a few more moves left to play. A week after Daniel showed up at my house with those custody papers, things started to spiral. He moved into a small rental apartment just outside Springfield. Nothing fancy. Just one bedroom, some secondhand furniture, a futon he got off Craigslist. I helped him put it together, even though part of me still felt raw inside. I didn't forgive him completely. But I saw a man finally trying to fix the mess he'd let grow. That meant something. We didn't tell Marcy where he was staying at first. She thought he was living with a friend from work. She still had the car. She still had the baby. Daniel got weekend visits, supervised at her mother's house in St. Louis. He hated it, said her mom treated him like garbage. But he stuck with it. Then she found out where he was living. I don't know how. Maybe she saw a bill. Maybe she followed him one day. All I know is I got a call from Daniel at 7:30 in the morning. She showed up last night. Screaming. Woke up the whole building. What did she say? That I abandoned my family. That I'm letting you poison me. She threw a bottle at my door. I felt my jaw clench. Did you call the police? No. I didn't want to make it worse. But it did get worse. 2 days later, someone keyed his car. Deep scratches, front to back. The word traitor was carved into the driver's door. We both knew who did it. But with no camera, no witness, it went nowhere. The next week, Daniel got served. Marcy was filing for full custody, claiming Daniel was emotionally unstable and influenced by a vengeful parent. That meant me.
She was trying to paint me as some kind of manipulator, said I was trying to turn her child against her, claimed I'd been stalking her online. I'll admit I joined her mom group under a fake name, but I never interacted with her directly. I wasn't stupid. Still, it rattled me. She was dangerous when she felt cornered. And now, she was all the way in a corner. Daniel looked defeated when he brought over the paperwork. She's saying I'm dangerous, Mom. Then I yelled at the baby. That I shoved her. My stomach dropped. Did you? He looked me in the eye. No. Never. I believed him. Daniel wasn't aggressive. He'd always been the quiet one. But Marcy knew how to spin a story, and if she said it with enough tears, some judge out there might just believe her. I told him, we need a lawyer. A good one. He rubbed his face. I can't afford it. I stood up, walked to my bedroom, and came back with an envelope. Inside was $8,200 in cash. My emergency fund. Every spare dollar I'd saved in the last 5 years. He froze when he saw it. Mom, no, I'm not giving it to you. I'm paying the lawyer myself. Because if she keeps that baby away from you, I'll never see my grandchild again. And I'm not letting that happen. He cried. I didn't. We hired someone tough. Melissa Traynor. A family lawyer with a reputation for cutting through nonsense. She met with Daniel 3 times that first week. Went over everything. Text messages, voicemails, photos, receipts, even social media screenshots. I handed her everything I had. Then she said something I didn't expect. You might need to testify. I nodded. I'll say whatever I have to. But I didn't realize how messy that would get until the court hearing started. Marcy walked into that courtroom dressed like a victim. Beige sweater. No makeup. Holding the baby like a prop. Her lawyer told the judge she was terrified of her child being exposed to an emotionally abusive environment created by the child's grandmother. That hit hard. They put me on the stand. They asked if I'd been watching her online activity, if I'd ever used fake names, if I'd ever interfered with her business. I told the truth. Yes, I joined a group she was in. Yes, I placed orders. No, I never spoke to her. No, I never lied about her products. They tried to twist everything. Said I was trying to sabotage her. Said I had intent to harm. I stayed calm. Then Marcy took the stand. That's when things went sideways. She said Daniel had pushed her once during an argument, that he yelled in front of the baby, that he let his mother call her names. Her voice cracked. She looked down at her lap like she was embarrassed. Then Melissa stood up. Ms. Bauer, can you explain this? She asked, holding up a printed screenshot. It was from Marcy's Facebook page. A post she forgot to delete. A rant she wrote weeks earlier. Daniel is so passive I could scream. He doesn't fight back. Just stands there like a lump. I swear, if the house burned down, he'd just watch. The courtroom got real quiet. Melissa handed more screenshots to the judge. Messages from Marcy's Etsy complaint threads. Comments where she bragged about how easy it was to twist a lawyer's arm with a few tears. Then she dropped the hammer. A video, grainy, but clear enough. From a neighbor's doorbell cam. It showed Marcy screaming outside Daniel's apartment at 11:45 p.m., banging on the door, calling him a coward, holding the baby on her hip while she did it. That was the first time I saw the judge's expression change. Marcy's lawyer asked for a recess. Later that week, Daniel called me in the middle of the night. She left, he said. What? She packed up the baby and went back to St. Louis, her parents' place. She sent me a text, said she needs space to think. I didn't know what to say, but I had a feeling this wasn't the end. Marcy didn't run. She was regrouping. And I knew damn well she'd come back swinging. Marcy stayed in St. Louis for almost 2 months. No contact, no court dates, no updates. Just silence. Daniel filed for emergency custody after she missed 2 scheduled visits. Our lawyer sent letters, emails, voicemails, nothing. Then, one morning, we got a reply. From her lawyer. She was suing again. This time, claiming Daniel abandoned the baby, and that the grandmother, was emotionally unfit to be anywhere near her child. That was it for me. She wasn't just trying to keep my son from his baby anymore. She was trying to erase me. I called a private investigator. His name was Barry. Used to be a cop in Tulsa. Wore cheap suits and smelled like menthols, but he got results. I gave him one job: find out what Marcy is really doing in St. Louis. 2 weeks later, he came back with gold. Marcy wasn't staying with her parents. She was living with a man, an old college boyfriend. His name was Derek. No job, no kids, just a part-time bar gig and a gym addiction. Barry got photos of them walking together, holding hands, kissing in the parking lot of a gas station while Marcy's baby sat in the backseat of the car. Worse, he found posts from Derek's Instagram. One showed the baby sitting in his lap while he played poker with friends. Beers all over the table. Another showed the baby napping on a mattress on the floor. No crib, no car seat in sight. I handed it all to Melissa. Her eyes went wide. This is it. We filed a motion the next morning for full custody, citing reckless endangerment and parental neglect. The judge scheduled a hearing within a week. Marcy walked into court like nothing was wrong, until she saw the photos. Her face drained of color. Her lawyer whispered something, probably asking if she'd lied to him. She looked down. Didn't speak. Then Daniel took the stand and read a statement he wrote himself. Your Honor, I made mistakes. I didn't defend my mother when I should have. I didn't stand up for myself or my daughter, but I am now. I will not let my child grow up around lies, manipulation, or instability. I want full custody, not to hurt Marcy, but to protect our daughter. When he finished, the judge was already flipping through the printed photos. He didn't even let Marcy speak again. He ruled in Daniel's favor. Full custody. Marcy would have supervised visits once a month, to be reviewed in 6 months. She had to complete parenting classes and submit proof of stable housing. And she was barred from taking the child across state lines again without written permission. Marcy lost everything that day. Daniel walked out of that courtroom with tears in his eyes and a clean slate. But my revenge wasn't over. I mailed a copy of the court transcript to Marcy's parents. No note. Just the cold truth. Then I contacted the mom's group she used to lead. Sent screenshots of the court ruling, the photos, her Instagram posts. Just facts. No lies. She got booted within 24 hours. Her Etsy account? Gone. Melissa helped Daniel file a formal IP complaint. Marcy had been using Daniel's childhood drawings, his, not hers, as designs for her baby clothing. We submitted proof. Etsy closed her store for copyright violations. Then I did the last thing I ever planned to do. I visited Marcy. She was staying in a basement apartment near her friend's house in St. Louis. I didn't knock. I waited until she came outside to check the mail. When she saw me, her eyes narrowed. You shouldn't be here, she said. I didn't care. I walked up, calm. I want you to know something, I said. You had every chance to be part of a family. You could have had support. You could have had me. But you threw it all away for control. She rolled her eyes. You think you're better than me? No, I said. I think I'm older. And smarter. And now, I've got what matters. I held up a photo of my granddaughter, sitting on my lap, smiling, paint on her fingers. Keep your distance, I said. Or the next time we meet, it'll be through a court order. She didn't say a word. Just stood there, breathing hard, fist clenched like she wanted to scream. I turned and walked away. Now, Daniel's rebuilding his life. He got a job in customer support for a tech firm. Remote. Stable. He's paying back the money I gave him, bit by bit. Not because I asked, but because he wants to. He's back to calling me every Sunday. And my granddaughter? She spends every other weekend at my place. We paint. We cook. We laugh. She calls me Nana. She doesn't know the whole story yet. One day she will. When she's old enough, I'll tell her everything. And I'll make sure she knows, sometimes, family doesn't protect you. But you can protect what matters, no matter how long it takes. Even if it means showing your teeth. Even if it means watching someone you love learn the hard way. Because love doesn't always mean saying yes. Sometimes, love means saying enough.